I'm Caleb Giddings from Gun Nuts Media, and today we're talking about the best revolver for concealed carry. In the past, we've discussed the utility of revolvers for concealed carry, and why I believe that the revolver is still relevant as a carry gun. We'll revisit that real briefly now. When you're here, a relatively unskilled novice shooter, revolvers are great because they have an extremely simple manual of arms. They're very easy to verify if they are loaded or not, and they are very difficult to negligently discharge. When you really look at the issues that people who are new to carrying a gun or having a gun for home defense deal with, those are far more important than whether or not they're actually going to need to be able to shoot someone with it. 99% of people will be perfectly served with a 5-shot concealed carry revolver. So, easy to load, good manual of arms, difficult to negligently discharge. Those are some of the advantages to a revolver for personal protection. Now, once you've made that decision, let's look into how to select a revolver and what characteristics we should be looking for in a defensive wheel gun. Alright, now, the first types of revolver we're going to look at is single action revolvers. For example, this 7-inch Ruger Vaquero in .45 Colt. Now, this is not a practical concealed carry gun. Obviously, it's extremely large and quite heavy. It's not going to be a gun that you're going to actually carry concealed on your person. Does that mean it has no utility for personal protection? No, of course not. A .45 Colt round will kill somebody dead as a doornail, and there are entire graveyards full of people who have been killed with .45 Colt rounds. But it's not optimal. Let's explain why it's not optimal, all right? It takes forever to load. You have to open up the loading gate, put cartridges in one at a time, do all of that. It's not easy to fire either. You have to be able to use a single action revolver and know how to rapidly cock and fire it. Plus, it has significant recoil, and again, it's very large and very heavy. Now, what if we had a smaller single action revolver? Well, we do. This is a 4-inch gun. This one's a little bit more practical, but still not a really great choice for concealed carry. We're gonna rule out single action guns for concealed carry, caveat, unless you have some sort of debilitating medical condition that makes it impossible for you to manipulate a double action trigger. A single action gun is not a good choice for concealed carry. All right, let's move on to double action revolvers. This is a medium frame. I know, medium, it's enormous. This is a medium frame double action revolver. This is the Ruger GP100 Match Champion this one's in .357 Magnum. I had to look because there's a 10mm one right behind me, and I was honestly not sure which one I grabbed because they're basically identical. Anyway, guns like this are where the revolver starts to make sense for concealed carry. Admittedly, it's very heavy. This gun is still large and heavy, and it only holds 6 shots. And if you're going to carry this sort of revolver every day, day in and day out, you need to really be conscientious about what you wear, about how you dress, and about the type of holster you select for the gun. That's not to say you can't do this. I have. I carried one of these every day for a year just to prove that I could, all right? You can do it. And there are some advantages to this. Primarily, the advantage is in that size and weight, so that when you're shooting a heavy recoil cartridge, like a .357 Magnum or a super hot .38 Special Plus P+, this gun will soak up that recoil. It's much easier to shoot well than a small framed revolver. The big drawbacks here, though, again, size and weight. And the problem that you have here is this gun, this Ruger GP100, which is unloaded right now, weighs the same as this Beretta 92D when it's fully loaded. And the 92D holds 15 in the magazine and 1 in the chamber. In fact, if you're really in love with the idea of a double action revolver because of the trigger system, this would be my recommendation if you wanted to carry a bigger gun. But you look at this right here and you see side by side a full-sized Beretta is the same size as the Ruger GP100, it actually has a better sight radius and it holds 3 times as many rounds. So that makes this a difficult choice to justify for concealed carry. All right, now that brings us to where the revolver really shines for concealed carry, and that's small, lightweight, easily concealed revolvers. When you're dealing with these small, lightweight revolvers, there are really only 2 options as far as manufacturers. You have the Ruger LCR series and Smith & Wesson J-frames. Taurus revolvers are trash. They're just trash. Don't buy them. And honestly, the Kimber K6S is neat, but Kimber's quality control is too spotty to make me trust it. I had a test K6S that was great, and then I had another one on a range that fell apart after like 200 rounds. So, miss me with your Kimbers, miss me with your Tauruses. Your only 2 legitimate options for small concealed carry revolvers are the Ruger LCR and the Smith & Wesson J-frame. Now, J-frames, we'll talk about those first. J-frames come in a million different flavors, all right? You've got ones in 38, ones in 32, you have steel frame, you have aluminum frames, you have titanium frames, you have all sorts of different flavors of J-frames. I'm going to show you the J-frame that I carry, explain why I carry it, and what makes it a good selection for personal defense. And that is the Smith & Wesson 351 PD. So, this is a 22 Magnum J-frame with a fiber optic front sight. I've put Crimson Trace laser grips on it because I like hitting what I aim at, and because they're better than the factory Rosewood grips that this came with. The factory grips didn't allow me to get a full firing grip on it, which I really like when I'm dealing with revolvers of this size, because the odds are that I may have to fire this from a compromised firing position, and I want to get as much hand on the gun as possible. The reason I went with 22 Magnum in this gun specifically, I don't recommend that for all J-frames. Some J-frames, yes. This one specifically, this is a special purpose gun. It is the only gun that I've ever encountered that is light enough for me to carry it while I'm wearing running shorts. I've never had another gun that I could reliably do that with. This gun I can, and so I wanted to keep it light, but I wanted to take advantage of that lightness and get some extra capacity. So compared to a regular 38 Special J-frame, which holds 5 rounds, this holds 7. It also has an exposed hammer. I feel some kind of way about that. Some people like it, some people don't. I will say that for concealed carry, and especially for carrying at the appendix position, which is where I carry at, having this exposed hammer is nice because I can place my thumb over that hammer spur when I'm holstering, just in case something's in the trigger guard. Now, the one other thing that I have to say about J-frames is the factory triggers on all J-frames, all guns coming out, all revolvers coming out of Smith & Wesson right now, the factory triggers are crap. They're garbage, and they have to be fixed. The best thing you can do for this J-frame is to put an Apex J-frame kit in it. It will dramatically improve the trigger pull. I haven't done that with this gun specifically because I'm using rimfire ammunition, and I want to make sure that I have 100% ignition with my rimfire ammo if I do end up needing this gun. And honestly, the trigger's not that bad if you know what you're doing. All right, so that's the J-frame that I carry. That's why I carry this particular J-frame. Now we're going to talk about my favorite defensive revolver and what I believe is the best defensive revolver on the market right now. All right, now that we've gone over my J-frame, which again is sort of a special purpose weapon, I only really carry it in certain circumstances, but for those circumstances, it is extremely valuable and it is sort of the perfect choice for that because it's so light, it's so easy to conceal. Now we're going to talk about what I believe is the best general purpose defensive revolver on the market right now, and that is the Ruger LCRX 3-inch. Now, there are a lot of LCR models on the market right now. You have the 357 Magnum models, you have the 22 models, you have the 38 models, and then you have the 3-inch. Why do I think the 3-inch is the best? Couple of reasons. One, I like the extra sight radius, all right? If we accept that the world is dangerous enough to carry a gun and that we may need to use it to shoot a human being, I want to give myself the technological advantages that are available, and a longer sight radius on a small revolver is a good thing. Makes it easier to get hits with. The front sight's also interchangeable, so I could put an HD front sight on it, a fiber optic, or a night sight if I so desired. The rear sight is adjustable. Now, some tactical weeaboos will tell you that having an adjustable sight on your gun will get you killed. Tell that to all the guys with M1 Garands in World War II. Anyway, it won't get you killed. It's not going to break. All right, it's fine. It's a very durable rear sight. And the reason I like an adjustable rear sight, especially on a gun like this, is because there are approximately 748 different grain weights that you can purchase 38 special ammo in. You have 125 grain, 110 grain, 130 grain, 148 grain, 158 grain. There's so many different grain weights, and all of those are going to have different points of impact. With an adjustable rear sight, you can sight your gun in to the point of impact for that specific load. So if you're carrying 110 grain Hornady critical defense, and then you decide you want to switch to Federal HST Micro, which is 130 grain, you can do that, and your gun will shoot the bullet to the same point of aim, point of impact. That's actually a big reason why I don't like the fixed sight J-frames and the fixed sight LCRs. The sights are regulated for a specific bullet type, weight, and velocity, and I don't really want to spend a week buying different brands of defensive ammo to figure out what the factory decided my gun should shoot to. Adjustable sights, 3-inch gun. Love it. The other thing that I love about the LCR has the best factory trigger on a double action revolver on the market right now. It is 9 pounds in double action, and it resets cleanly, all right? That's important with a wheel gun, the clean reset, because what I don't want is to be able to drive through that trigger and then I'm waiting for it to reset, and there it finally resets. It's a nice, clean reset, and the gun can actually be shot very fast because the trigger's light, because the reset is good. It has, I don't know, probably 4.5 pound single action trigger. I've never bothered to test it because I've never shot the gun single action. Again, exposed hammer spur. I used to not like exposed hammer spurs. I used to want to bob everything. But now that I carry AIWB, I really appreciate the exposed hammer spur as a safety measure for when I holster at the appendix carry position, so I can keep my thumb on that hammer and make sure that it doesn't go anywhere. One thing I'm not super big a fan of, the factory stocks that it ships with, they're just okay. These rubber grips, they're just okay. I like that I can get my whole hand on them, and I really do need to change them out to Crimson Trace laser grips. I just haven't gotten around to it. The gun is chambered in 38, not 357. I'm going to say something that is controversial. 357 Magnum snub-nosed revolvers are dumb. You do not get enough ballistic improvement to justify the incredible increase in muzzle flash and recoil. You don't. You just don't, okay? 357 Magnum snubs are dumb. Don't bother with them. Just get a 38 or a 32 if you can find a Dear Ruger, hi, my name's Caleb Giddings, and I love revolvers. If you could make this gun with a fiber optic front sight and chambered in 32 Magnum so I can get 6 rounds in this cylinder, that would be tits. Love, Caleb. Anyway, that's the gun I carry. I carry this gun more than I carry anything else, all right? I carry it more than I carry a double stack 9mm because it's light, it's easy to carry, it goes in my Darkstar gear holster and goes on my pants, and I go about my day, and I don't worry about it, all right? Those are the revolvers that I do carry. I carry the air weight in certain circumstances. Most of the time, this is what I'm carrying. Most of the time, this is what I'm carrying, period. Not a double stack 9mm, because that's an acceptable risk for me. Anyway, these are my criteria for picking a concealed carry revolver. Again, we want lightweight, we want good sights, and a good trigger. The only revolver currently being made, the only factory revolver that currently meets those standards is the 3-inch Ruger LCR, and that's why it's my carry revolver of choice. Until next time, remember, run your gun, not your mouth.